be bringing our first speaker on day 2 of the Journey to Prosperity Business Summit. And so I'd just like to welcome Rachel Shackleton. Rachel, welcome.
Thank you, Liz. It's wonderful to be here. And first spot on the second day. How wonderful.
Absolutely. Yes, it's great. And so, Rachel, tell us what you're going to be talking about today.
All right. So my company is a Green Key Personal Development. I also have a second company called Green Key Health. But today we're talking about leadership and communication and the importance of effective leaders in the workplace.
Okay, great. So let's get started. So Rachel, tell me a little bit more about who would be your ideal type of client?
So the ideal client, Liz, is or are clients who have a hierarchy. I'm not talking a massive hierarchy, but at least they're big enough to have leaders in the organization. So those people are responsible for other people who report into them and they get the job done. If we're looking at communication, the ideal client could be clients that have call centers or have a large customer service department. They would also fall under my ideal client.
Okay, great. So now we go through, as business owners, we go through various different challenges in our business. What is the problem that you solve?
So when you look at leadership and communication, and for me, leadership is communication. These two things are going hand in hand. If you have leaders that are unable to communicate effectively, they can't motivate others, they're going to have difficulty problem solving, they won't listen effectively, and many other managerial type skills. So the problems that what I do solve are all around getting the most out of people through inspiration. So the true definition of a leader is someone who is able to inspire others to want to do what you need them to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where, people in the workplace want to be valued and know that, they really do have a part to play. And so it's kind of key in how they are being treated and, like you say, being inspired and motivated, because then you'll get the best out of people, surely.
Absolutely. And, it's a basic human nature to want to be valued. We all want to be valued. We want to give of our best. We're not born being negative or, well, I'm not here, I'm not going to contribute to this world. Of course not. It's about being valued, and it's so simple, but yet we get it so wrong in organizations very often, is that we forget to value the people because of the pressure to achieve goals, to bring in certain volume of clients, to build productivity, to profitability, and all of a sudden the human element goes out of the organization and people become a resource rather than an asset in the two things of the world, where we value people and they bring us that value back.
Yeah, and that's where we have some problems, don't we? Can you tell us a little bit more about some of those problems that actually occur when the leadership is not correct and they're not treating their workforce as they should be?
Yes, I mean, it's one of the key things that underlies many issues that go on in departments and organizations as a whole. So you can get things like high absenteeism, high sickness, large levels of staff turnover, because people don't want to work with a toxic boss or a boss that lives in chaos, and therefore makes their life very difficult. Of course, you get things like increased customer complaints because the service is not correct. Well, why isn't the service correct? Because the people haven't been trained. Why haven't they been trained? Because the leaders themselves don't understand the value of training their team members to work well with the customers in order to bring in the profitability, etc., etc. So it's a self-feeding cycle. When we get it right, absenteeism drops, sickness drops, people have fun, they love what they do because they love what they do, they're loyal because they're loyal, customers come back, because customers have come back, we build our profitability.
Yeah, and I think there is that part where it's you know, an employee, let's say, you know, wants to be valued and wants to be able to contribute their worth, and also sometimes people just excel and really excel, and who you thought might not have been the one to excel then are the ones to excel. And I think it's kind of really important to be able to, as a leader, be able to find those key people who can be the champions, to lead things as well, and to be able to inspire others so that they can bring on board other people to kind of like, you know, let's really work out these problems, let's deliver a great service, etc.
Yeah, very much, very much so. I mean, we need to keep in mind that enthusiasm and inspiration is infectious.
Yeah.
You know, if you have somebody that's excited about life in your team, everybody else all of a sudden starts to, wow, you know, what's going on here? This is great. And then you raise the excitement and the fun and the humor. And that means that when you have difficult moments, difficult customers, the things don't get delivered when they should be delivered, or, you know, all these things that do go on, which are normal, they are normal, even though they shouldn't be, the team members just work with it in a very sensible, logical manner. They just work it through and it gets solved and everybody carries on and customers happy, we're happy. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say are some of the common mistakes that perhaps leadership make, you know, when it's time to be looking at some of these problems? Because, you know, I've been in situations myself where it has just not been a nice environment to work in, so you're not going to give your best. So what are some of the common mistakes that happen?
I think probably the biggest one is that we don't listen to our people. We don't either have the time to listen or we don't take the time to listen. And when you really truly listen, you show that each individual is valued. It's coming back to this value of people that work with you. We don't, very often one of the common mistakes is not giving feedback, not giving positive feedback, taking the moment to say to, it doesn't matter, John or Sarah, wow, you know, thank you so much for what you just did with that customer. That's all it takes. It doesn't have to be a formal, structured 30 minutes where you sit down and you go through things step by step. No. When you see somebody doing something right, tell them, that was great, thank you so much. And that also opens the door to when people do slip off the track of top performance, that you can sit down with them openly and fairly and say, Sarah, you normally perform at this level. What happened? Is everything okay with you? You know, and then your people trust you more, they're more open with you, and then you see problems coming along before they actually really develop as a leader, because your team members will start to open up to you and then tell you, listen, I've got problems at home, I need a bit of time, or my daughter's sick and I'm very worried, or whatever it is that happens to us as human beings. So for me, it's about being able to communicate effectively with your people. And that means listening effectively, understanding through the changes in body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, words used. Something's going on here. And then picking up on that and say, come on, let's have a coffee together. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I think with what you just said there, in terms of, you know, when you are actually letting somebody know that they've done well. It's just that feel good factor for them. And then and I've heard this several times, and they've actually gone home and said, hey, do you know what? My boss actually said, well done today. And they really appreciate it. And it really makes them feel, like I said, counted and part of a team. And then there is the part where you just mentioned about, being the supportive leader as well, just to kind of understand, where is that person at the moment? They could be going through difficult times. There could be some challenges. And it means that, then it then becomes like having a family where, okay, what's going on? Let me hear, let me listen and see what's going on. Just like you said, go out. And I think the employee person will feel valued, really valued, and feel that they actually care. They're actually listening. I'm just not, number 71 in the company.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're missing that, and a lot of our leadership is that care, is that taking that time to just nurture people a little bit. You don't have to do it all the time, but just show that you do care here and there, and it goes such a long way.
Yeah. And I mean, because they've been in places where they've just been, literally like whipping everybody for getting the targets. And then it kind of makes them sometimes be resistant to the way they're being spoken to or treated, or, like I said, are not just being, number 101, in the organization. And so I think embracing some more of these, and we've just been through the pandemic, and people have had mental health challenges. They've become depressed sometimes, and I'm not saying this for everybody, but I just think there is that mindfulness of, okay, we need to look at how we embrace our employees, our freelancers, our contractors, how we treat them as well, because obviously, and we've had a lot of losses as well, family, friends, and so on. And so I think to just have that additional support, and having something where they can actually go and speak to someone, if they have a challenge and it's affecting their performance. And I think, like you say, it's good to have that in place where you're able to go and speak to your boss or whoever it is that you would speak to, and like I said, and be listened to, valued, and understood.
Yeah. Agree more, Liz.
Yeah. So Rachel, tell me, what is one valuable free action that anyone listening here can implement to help them with that problem?
So on my website, which is greenkeypersonaldevelopment.com, when you go onto the website, if you click on custom solutions, which is the main training page, and scroll right down to the bottom, you'll find there a link for a free ebook on leadership, and it's called Leadership Matters. And many of the things that are in that book are things that I've learned along my way in my career as a leader, working with my own team. And it's hands-on messages, it's hands-on tips, techniques that you can use in your day-to-day work, however many people you're leading.
Okay, great. And actually that is also in the featured speakers area, and there's a link that you can actually go ahead and click to get Rachel's free gift. So is there anything else, Rachel, that we could kind of just touch on? Because I think, like we said, we're coming into a new year. We're coming into 2023, and we can't still be doing some things that we've been doing for centuries the same, or we're going to get the same result. And we need to, I've got this thing like, you need to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. So we need to take our slippers off and step into our trainers, because a lot of people particularly maybe over this pandemic, may have even felt that, you know, it's time for a change. Things haven't changed where I am, and it's time for a change. And so you talked about a retention of employees, of staff, and there may be, you know, a big shift with people, and it's always that time when it's sort of ending of the year, coming to the new year, that people want to change. They've decided, hey, do you know what, I don't want to be at this organization anymore. I want to change. I'm not being valued. I'm not being this, you know, I don't feel fulfilled. And so, you know, they decide that it's time to make the shift. What sort of advice could you give to those in leadership first, I should say?
You know, that's a really interesting question, and the blog that I literally just wrote, and it'll probably go up on the website next week, is about courage. And really, it's about courage to speak your truth. And I think that we have been, as leaders, managers, individuals, I think we've been accepting things without really saying in an appropriate way how we feel about something. So our honesty and integrity, to a certain degree, has been walked all over by not just necessarily bosses in organizations, but by governments, by local bodies, by associations, institutions, whoever it might be. And we've allowed that to go on actually for quite a long time. And really, it's time now to stand in our own truth and to have the courage, even though it might be going against somebody else's narrative, to say what we truly want to say that is coming from the heart. And that's why we need to say it, because it is heartfelt. And to say it in an appropriate way, and to understand that the other person can have a different point of view, and that's also okay. So moving into 2023, for me, well-being, the foundation of well-being and effective leadership of the self, whether you're a leader or you're not a leader of other people, we all are in some way, shape or form, is just to stand in your own truth and to have that courage to do that moving into 2023. And the change that that's going to bring for you as an individual, you as a leader, you as a family member, you as a member of society, and society as a whole, and then the bigger picture of the world, is going to be enormous.
And I agree with that, because I think, like you say, we may have been just sort of holding all these things in, on taking all this in as well, and really being unhappy. And just a couple of days ago, one of the ladies was sharing, and she'd mentioned that when it was lunchtime, she and another lady would go in the toilets and just have a cry. They were just so unhappy, but they couldn't say, or didn't feel that they could stand up to you know, what was happening and how they felt, until one day she actually decided that she was going to change that, and she started something else, and then eventually she left and stepped truly into what she really did, and she just flourished. I mean, but it was just, you know, to hear that, and I don't know actually how long that was happening for. It just, like you said, I think it's just hit that home truth in that, doing that, because it's almost like, you know, sort of long time internal suffering, isn't it?
Much so.
Not good.
And the impact that has on the physical and mental health is huge. And why we don't make that connection through our leadership approach, I don't understand, because to me it's so obvious that people get sick for a reason, and it's not necessarily because it's a flu bug, but maybe because it's a flu bug. But why do they keep getting flu bug after flu bug after flu bug? Because there's something that's not balanced, and they're not happy in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, so Rachel, I just want to say thank you so much. We've covered some things here today that will definitely get thinking caps on and hopefully to make some changes. Like you said, we're coming into 2023, and there are some things that definitely need to change in the workplace, with ourselves individually as well. And I just want to also remind people to go to featured speakers page and be able to get Rachel's free gift that she shared today.